Welcome to the bold analysis. I want to start by asking, did you find time today and maybe followed the NADCO? NADCO is the National Dialogue Committee sessions today when IPOA appeared before that committee. And today, the IPOA bosses are opening a Pandora box, or that they're doing an eye-opener on what exactly happens or what happened in the last, the way the security officers handled the last protest. And while appearing before it, I think that session was more enlightening and an eye-opener. Anyone around William Ruto and is really interested in ending the extrajudicial killings needs to listen to what the IPOA bosses are saying in this video. Without much ado, I want to give you time so that you can listen to what they've said in this video.
And we sometimes encounter bottlenecks because this laboratory is under the control of the DCI. The DCI, to me, and I want you legislators, is part of the NPS. He is under the command of the IG, and he cannot be independent. He denies or they alter the evidence because they have to give us the report of the weapon used. They say, as per our analysis, these weapons were not in the possession of the police as at the time of the action. That is one thing we encounter. In the case of the two brothers in Luanda, whom you buried, the post-mortem was explicit, saying they actually died of rungus, not even a gun. Why would a professional police officer continue to inflict injury to somebody whom they have already subdued instead of either arresting the person and putting in the lorry and go and process the crime? Is it frustration inwardly? Is it because they think that they lord it over the population of the populace?
Ladies and gentlemen, they were reacting to a question that was asked by Eugene Wamalwa. And Eugene Wamalwa asked them, when Inspector General of Police makes an insensitive statement that bodies are being ferried or are hired from a mortuary and paraded to create an impression that security officers have waylaid innocent Kenyans, how do you handle that? And their answer is perfect, straight, and I think it's something that we need to understand. You know, when this administration came to power last year, within the first 1 month, there were a lot of discussions on extrajudicial killing. In fact, a story is told about, I believe that story is never true, but it's told about a container that was somewhere where people contained some police station where people were being killed. And so Kenya Kwanza came with a glimmer of hope that they were going to end extrajudicial executions. But what IPOA is saying is something that makes a lot of sense. Ladies and gentlemen, is laid it clear that if you are the way looking at the bodies, if you hit above the waist, then that person is only intending at killing you. But below the waist is to make you immobile. And I want to believe, even if someone is a protester, na ushamgonga mguu, huyo mtu hatakimbia. That person will not be able to run, will not be able to do anything. In fact, that person will be subdued. And he's also raising a question that when they make the forensic observation, maybe let me say the forensic research investigation about these bodies, they can know that this was hit by a rungu, this was hit by a bullet, and of course, close range, middle range, so that you know the intention. So that even when the police is telling you, I was protecting myself, you're like, if it was a long range, then how would you protect yourself from a long range? It would make sense if it was actually a close range. But they cannot connect between the deceased and the bullet, because the forensic audit needs to be done in the bullet. So he's saying that when that is done to be that government laboratory, that laboratory falls under DCI, and DCI works under AG. So in some extent, in short, what they're saying is that the AG has some powers, a very big sphere of influence, and that is why any investigation on excesses by the police cannot see the light of the day. In fact, they're simply throwing AG behind the bus. That is solely responsible, because if you've always wanted to present, even to, and you know, I have a friend, a cop, who once told me that, Kevin, when a bullet kills a Kenyan here in this country, and you want to know who was killed, I even wonder why people normally do investigations. The state normally don't just want to expose the cops. But when you leave a police station, kama polisi amebeba bunduki, the bullet in that bunduki is known. And they know that so and so left with this, and it has serial number and everything is known. So it's just going. So you're the person who left the station with this and this serial number and the bullet. So imepatikana kwa ile mwili. So if just upon going and you just march, you don't even need to do a lot. But there's a way things are normally distorted in the middle, and the data and the way it was handover, it was done, and again it creates the dark space. So, and I remember that cop of mine telling me, it's not that just that people don't want to relay, but if AG want to produce someone who killed who, it's not something that requires magical science. Now, things we need to, and when I listen to, I think I will want to make this podcast directly to address this to President William Ruto. If you're watching, if this can get him, you should listen to this. Kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell, and like our video. Thank you very much for supporting us. Thank you very much for supporting me. Oh, I realized I needed to say, but I have been away. The reason why I was away is because I've not been feeling well for the last 3 days. So I decided to take a rest kwa sababu mwili kwanza, you know, you can't work if you're not, I was not yet stable. So, but I thank God that I'm back strong, now doing it. So, I saw people asking the comment section of the previous video what happened, and yeah, I did just to explain. And by thank you for, yeah, I realize some people are sending me tea. Thank you. Now, let me say this. William Ruto must take the opportunity so that as we talk about constitutional changes, the many changes that is happening, we must review protest management protocols, especially when we send the police. It is the videos from Kisumu and other Azimio zones were very devastating about how young people, women, were actually dragged, how young people, I didn't see a video of women being dragged, young men being dragged from their houses and beaten. Honestly, in a place where you're not even seeing any danger. And the way Azimio, pro-Azimio supporters were waylaid in their doorsteps is something that should never repeat in this country. Especially now that we all agreed that we must end extrajudicial executions. And never again should we have a situation where when there is an operation, even to neutralize, I don't know whether I'm using the right word, to manage protests, then it's upon, in the order, chain of command, emotions can do and someone say, kill. No. And of course, the use of live bullets, I know it's there. I know within the protocols, you'll be told it's somehow there. But we must have those protocols institutionalized, and in the constitution, it's something that when a police leaves, you just pick the ones that you are going and having gone through that training or that capacity building. It will not need that police to go to the field and keep on talking to someone on phone to know what he or she is supposed to be doing there. We should all know the do's and don'ts. So that, because I saw the other day in Eldoret, people are protesting about that education scandal. If we don't have, protests gonna be there. But if we don't put our house in order, if we don't put this in the constitution, it's still prone to abuse. Number 2, William Ruto, Mr. President, listen to what that IPOA is saying. I wish you disassociate that government lab from the police ranks. Because as they've said, it's not only used by the IPOA, it's used by others. Of course, I know there is a very bad blood between IPOA and the police, because IPOA has largely been blamed to be looking only at the civilians, when yamepigwa, but doesn't look at civilians who beat the police. Of course. Sorry. There are also those who cross the path and go after the security officers. But from what they're saying, investigation cannot come to its logical conclusion. Investigation cannot be effective if the person investigating about his hands are still in the laboratory. So put it out, let it have government agency to run the laboratories, or put it under IPOA, the investigating authority, so that it can be given financial autonomy and to reduce the level of influence by those in power, especially the authorities. If the security people in the police ranks will have influence in that laboratory, then surely how do you expect IPOA to get the right data, the right report from that office, from that lab? It's really something that comes out clearly. But I also see that IPOA should be given more powers, especially in investigating these excesses. I tend to believe, and I've listened to a couple of submissions in that committee, and there is one thing that comes out. In Kenya, we don't have scarcity of ideas. We don't know, not that we don't have the right thing to do. We know the right thing to do, but deliberately, we tend to block the probability of doing the right thing so that we can create avenues and ways of negotiating corners to serve individual interests. But if we can allow transparency, even at different institutions, I can tell you, we'll not be talking about these extrajudicial executions. I think this is something that President Ruto spoke passionately about. And from this NADCO committee submissions, there is something that you can take away. The same way you give financial autonomy to the police, which was believed to be one of the ways of curbing corruption, and I believed it was not. Let's take this, because this one is coming from the horse's mouth, that there is a problem somewhere. Thank you.